Hello! So, today we're going to be talking about choosing the right path when you're in a fork in the road, specifically writing. Now, oftentimes, writing a book, writing a screenplay, whatever you're writing, you're probably going to run into a point where you have two paths that you can go, and both are going to end up being quite different down the line. So, you get stuck. I get stuck, and I think, okay, which one would be better? Should I go with option A or should I go with option B? Option A has all of these benefits. Option B has all of those benefits. There's cons to each. So in order to effectively entertain both ideas, what I do is I simply come up with a pros and cons list. I think about what exactly it is that I'd be getting out of both categories, both options. And usually, as I'm going through those pros and cons, I end up convincing myself which one is the better idea before I can even get through all the pros and cons. And the reason I thought about making this video is because I'm currently at a position where that's happening right now. I am in a fork in the road. I'm writing the first draft of my book right now. And I have two options, one that will be following the outline and one that will be diverging from the outline, one that's going to be a little bit different. The reason this option came up is because one of the characters started yapping and events from the previous scene ended up changing the way that this scene was originally going to be structured, and it got me in a pickle. One of the characters ended up making some great points. I'll get into the actual details in a second. I'm going to cut to OBS and I'll give you guys a screen recording, but I got a little stumped and wanted to basically walk you through it. I, as of recording this, am not sure which path I'm going to take, so I'm going to take you guys on the journey of figuring out what path I'm going to take. Let's do it. All right, so here are the two options. First option is following the outline. Felikir remains adamant on going to the moon, disregarding Garmok's advice. Second option, which is the new option, disregarding the outline, is going to be Felikir listens and decides that going to the moon is a bad idea and that he will get revenge another day, and he decides to go to a different location instead, which is Labion, but that's besides the point. So, context to the scene. Felikir, the main character, is filled with rage. He really wants to get revenge and kill this person that wronged him, that ended up setting him up and disregarded their promise, basically just really screwed him over. It's this member of the council, basically the government, and he just got done killing a spoiler, but he just got done basically taking out a bunch of people within the government, and now he wants to take out one more. Just one more, the one that he really cares about the most. Then he's done. Then he's going to go live a peaceful life. And that's what he believes is going to end up leading towards a better world for everyone that's still in that city. However, now that he is in the spacecraft and he is about to go, they're literally heading to the moon right now, this child that he saved, also spoiler alert, there's going to be a lot of spoilers if you're going to follow the series, because I'm gonna essentially just tell you what happens, and hope that you still give a fuck to actually read it when it comes out. But saves this child, and the child is very much believing that people can change, believing that there is good in people, that you should forgive people, very much kind-hearted, but he's also very naive when it comes to that. He's been wronged many times, so it's very it's very unique for someone to have been wronged that many times to still have that mindset and that outlook on the world and on people as a whole. So I believe it's a very honorable character, but at the end of the day, the character is 10 years old or something. It's a child. So I'm not too sure which one I should do. If Felikir should continue going to the moon or go to Labion. And if he goes to Labion, that's basically going to solidify and put an end to his arc for this specific book. Then the next book will take place when he goes to Labion. So I want to weigh the pros and cons for each one. So cons. Pro for following the outline. He gets to have a moment with people that he left on the moon and see that they don't trust him anymore. So there's a lot going on. This is like 90,000 words in. Basically, he left a bunch of his friends on the moon in order to acquire this resource, and had to lie to them to do so. There's a lot of like Boy Cried Wolf things in this story, especially with Felikir's character. So going there, he would be able to have a little run-in with his friends and realize that those relationships are not even close to what they were at the beginning of the story, which would definitely hurt him a lot more. And I'm very much pro torturing your characters, which sounds like a little bit evil, but I think it's a very good thing to give your characters a lot of hardships and challenges and obstacles to overcome in order to force them to change. And so I believe that having him still go to the moon and disregard this advice, he would end up getting hurt more, which I believe is a good thing. Con to him going to the moon would be that it feels like his drive to go is a little forced, since he saw the death of so many council members and the effects on the field. So the con, I believe, is that it feels forced, and it feels like at this point in time that he has realized and saw that there's a lot of people that get hurt when you kill someone. That it affects a lot of innocent people, which is very true. I mean, you take anyone's life, there's going to be people who are not related, like, to the cause, that are going to be hurt. People who are innocent are going to be hurt by this killing, which will lead to more killing. I mean, this isn't like a super complex idea. It's very straightforward. So that's a con. So pros and cons to having him go to Labion. I'm going to start with the con. He doesn't suffer anymore. He doesn't have the option to see his friends again. Pro, it shows the power that Garmok has, specifically his voice. Now, there's a third character in this equation, Plank. I'm not going to talk too much about that character because his opinion's kind of irrelevant, but that there's a reason. I just don't think that it's important to necessarily talk about it in the context of deciding which path to go on. Because he doesn't suffer anymore. Pros, listens, decided to go to Labion. It feels... Oh my god. Okay, that's all right. I'm just Right, I'm gonna pause and I'm just gonna think. Okay, I thought of another pro for him disregarding Garmok's advice. Felikir realizes he's way over his head regarding his ability to change things. Specifically, like the government and the whole like battle that's happening on the moon. I guess another pro would be that he realizes that the well, this isn't even a pro, it's just a reason. I guess I'll call this a neutral, because this isn't a pro or a con, but Felikir realizes that the Salvians are going to claim a large portion of the moon's reservoir, and neutral here is opposite. They don't learn that until later. So I'm having some trouble here. I'm really not too sure which one to go. I'm kind of leaning towards following the outline, and that Garmok isn't able to convince Felikir to disregard this rage and this desire for revenge. But I don't know. It's really hard to say. I'm going to pause it and think more because I'm still struggling. Okay, I'm going to walk you through my thinking. Basically, I'm going to walk through the emotional arc in the headspace of Felikir throughout the story, because there has to be this payoff, this realization. There's a progress. There has to be progress in the thinking category, in where their head is. So originally, Felikir is suspicious of the royals. He ends up disregarding the oath that he had in order to protect the alien child, because the child is a child and he doesn't think that they necessarily deserve to die and that they're not guilty of anything because they haven't done anything. And the whole reason they want to kill him is because of the fact that he's an alien, he's a Selfian. After that, he ends up going to the moon to try to save his father figure by acquiring some resource. And that moment right there, him going to the moon and finding this giant reservoir, is the point of no return for the entire, I guess, for all of life on Mars. There was a point of no return for his character, but there was then the point of no return for everyone else, because there's this information that was discovered and it changes everything. So now that they know that exists, they want to keep it a secret. Felikir ends up going into I'm basically just wondering what happens here. He ends up developing this great rage to kill one of the people because they lied and said they were going to protect one of his friends. They ended up not doing that, so they took revenge and ended up taking out a number of people within the royals. After that, they realized, oh my god, what have I done? Now I'm seeing that they're basically forced to fight these two children who have superpowers. And he sees the effects of his actions, that the killing ended up hurting innocent people. But then he kind of argues of like, oh, are they really innocent because they're royals and there's no such thing as an innocent royal? Maybe I could play into that, and that could justify why he still feels the need to go to the moon. And I'm thinking, in order to make it justified within the group itself, between him and Garmok, the child that he saves from the very beginning, he basically hides the fact that he's going to the moon to get revenge, and maybe he uses a cover-up and says that he's going to save his friends, that they're going to get killed on the moon because the royals want to keep that resource secret from everyone else. However, I have already tried to go that route. Garmok argued that he already proved that the royals can no longer hide that because of reasons, because he's fucking flipping the air and basically showed, hey, I'm not a royal, I got powers, look, they're lying to you, don't listen to him, I'm gonna speed this up. And yeah, it kind of seemed like it would make the most sense for him to just stop. And I think if he's going to go the route, okay, here, this is what we're gonna do. We're going to disregard the outline and we're gonna go with option 2. And the reason that's going to work, he's not gonna suffer anymore. We're gonna change that. He is going to suffer. Once he has that conversation with Garmok, this is it. Once realizes what he's done. Note for earlier, make it so Felikir doesn't as guilty when he learns when he's forced to fight the royal children. He does not kill them. Just expand on the lack of guilt justified by saying that there is no such thing as an innocent royal. He should even say there is no such thing as an innocent royal to Garmok. This is a callback to when, add to chapter 5, Jameis says there is no such thing as an innocent Selfian, regarding the orders that he received from the Kaipia from the royals. So that is a perfect callback and actually ends up being a better option than the original outline I was going for. So because of this realization that he is acting just like Jameis, Felikir essentially has a panic attack. They mourn greatly over what they have just done. They realize that they have become the very thing that they hated. Someone who discriminates against a kind, faction, group, but at the end of the day, an innocent child. So he still doesn't kill the child. He still is kind of like, oh, whatever, I'm not going to kill a child because that's still kind of fucking crazy. But he doesn't necessarily feel guilty for them being upset until this conversation with Garmok and his realization that he is no better than Jameis, and that I'm morally, his moral high ground essentially crumbles beneath him when he realizes that he's no different. So, there we go. I'm going to continue on the camera. So, now that we're back here, let me turn this up a little bit. Looks good. Okay, so there you go. That's my process for essentially getting out of a fork in the road. Weigh the pros, weigh the cons, look back, reflect. It's very important to have a consistent flow of things. When I was stuck, I simply looked back at all the events that happened preceding there. I'm going to speed it up because I yapped for like a lot of that typing, but you get where I'm coming from. You just need to understand it's difficult to pick the right path in life, in writing, in whatever it is, but it's very important to just reflect, weigh it, and go with your gut. Because you don't want to marry your outline. You don't want to be stuck on it. You don't want to necessarily use your outline as a means of justifying which option you should choose, because if I go with my outline decision, it's going to be easier to write it. Yeah, it will be, because you originally wanted to go that route. And there has been so many times where I'm writing this thing and I completely go off the rail of what the outline was. There's a character in here that made it to the end of the book that I tried to kill off multiple times. But weighing the pros and cons, weighing stuff that happened before, reflecting and thinking on it, made me realize killing this character isn't necessarily the best decision for the story. So they stayed alive and they kept on going forward, and I'm going to use them as a tool for so much suffering for one of the characters in the future book. So I hope you liked this. I thought it was kind of fun. I was stuck, so I decided to use it as an opportunity to basically walk through my process for choosing the best path. I hope that helps you, and happy writing. And yeah, go out there and make something epic. See ya.